Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over the market, let's go over Tesla, let's see what happened and what we can dissect from this moving forward. Tomorrow's a pretty big day. Tomorrow, of course, is the FOMC and rate hike announcement day. Expected, of course, is 25 basis points. So that's most likely what we are going to get. It's just a matter of what happens after with Powell's, Q&A, essentially, if you will, or his like statements and whatnot at 2:30 Eastern, I believe it is. So pretty big day tomorrow. No, honestly, the market, you can see it definitely walking into it. Anxiously, let's just say that. So we'll go over all that, guys. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button. It's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Making decisions to do your own research, and I am next week, Monday, opening up a membership service. So I'll be posting Tesla updates intraday as the markets open. If something major happens that I personally think is worth sharing, and it'll only be $3 a month, which is not, in my opinion, too much. Now, all that being said, let's just jump into it. The market's closing in just a few minutes, but Tesla looking like it will be down just over 8%, which will be putting us at about $160 per share, which compared to the market is roughly, give or take, in line. Nothing, too completely crazy. However, with that being said, Tesla was actually outperforming the market for about the first half of the day or so. I had a beautiful run up, and then it had a pretty massive drop as well, and then started to, at some point, slightly underperform the market, and now it's essentially more or less in line with it. So the thing that's interesting is the fact that Tesla today essentially went to both price, not targets, but both those important key levels that we talked about yesterday, right? It started off the morning pretty much rallying right up to that first key level we talked about, which was around that, 165, 166 level. We did talk about that. It pretty much went literally right in the middle at 165 and a half, which is nice to see. Got obviously a rejection there, as we talked about, right? Being, the first major level I want to see broken. Then, of course, moving up all the way to here. So clearly couldn't break through that just yet. Got a massive rejection. Pretty much came down right back to this exact same level over here of around, this 159, 160-ish level we talked about over here. How I don't want it to go much lower than these levels here right now. So, pretty much went exactly to that level. And then, of course, now we are at the very moment of bouncing, looking like a little bit into the close with a nice little candlestick on the 1 hour showing that, the bulls are stepping in here, but they are, of course, the bears are stepping in here. So, definitely a little bit of a battle between those two major levels we discussed yesterday. So pretty much moving forward tomorrow, again, a potentially major catalyst of a day, like we talked about with the FOMC and the rate hike announcement. So we'll see what that actually brings, I guess, towards the market and towards Tesla. But pretty much for now, more or less the same concept remains, right? We are still essentially holding this, in my opinion at least, inverted head and shoulder pattern, where, like we talked about, how if it does come back to this level, we wouldn't want to go much lower than the level that we have already reached, so far on this shoulder and even over here. And at the moment, we are essentially just, coming back pretty much directly to that level. And at the moment, also getting a very much, needed bounce, which is very good to see. So this is, really, really important stuff. So for instance, in case you're wondering about the membership stuff, when we went up here, I would have, made a post saying how, we're at that first major resistance level. This is a very important level to break. And then when we were down here, I would have also made a little bit of a post saying how, we are now at a level that we want to hold as a bull, at least. Those are the kind of posts I would be making in that membership channel, right? Sometimes several a day, sometimes it'll be maybe once every few days, depends on how the market and Tesla is moving. But moving forward, that's the major thing. Now going over to the daily, you can see here the candles are really not telling too much of a story, at least not today's candle, right? It was kind of all over the place, but with the way it looks like it will be closing, it's not going to be telling us too much of a story other than, honestly, indecision. That's the only thing I see here, indecision, which makes sense moving into a day like tomorrow where, who knows what will actually happen for sure, right? Especially with Powell. I think the rate hike, 25 basis points is expected. That's going to happen, right? That's very high chance that's going to happen. That's not going to be a surprise. The surprise or potential, question mark, if you will, is the Q&A and whatnot after that at 2:30. So that's going to be the part I think most people will be keeping their eyes on for the most part. Now, moving forward on the daily, you can see we're still well below the 21 EMA. We're still kind of, bouncing up towards the white line of the Bollinger Band. So I wouldn't, again, I'm personally still in the camp. I'm still overall short-term bullish, right? I personally think as long as Tesla holds this level that it so far has today and is setting up a beautiful looking 1 hour candle right here, moving into the market close, which is good, which we want to see, might get a bit of rally tomorrow, first half of the day. But nonetheless, I personally really do want to see it hold this level that it has held today. And as long as this holds, like I said, I'm personally still in the very short-term bullish camp, where I personally think that we still have a very good chance to make a rally up, right? Where we talked about this as well, but to reiterate one more time, back on the daily, you can see pretty much more or less exactly to this white line on the Bollinger Band-ish, give or take, which is exactly more or less around that 175-ish level. So That's currently where I personally would not be shocked whatsoever to see. And that's currently my main price target that I am eyeballing. Again, as long as this level down here holds that we just discussed, right? Being around this kind of, 158-ish, give or take. Very important level for me. And again, above that, you really want to see that 165, 166-ish level break, moving up to all the way to 167 to 170. Another important level, break that, then we definitely can enter the 170s to 175. If we can break 175-ish, right, give or take, around that level, 174, 175, then I think 180 is right after that. But with that being said, if we do go up to 180, which is possible, I don't believe that we will go any, much higher than that whatsoever. So that is my current overall projection. And I do believe that there is a higher probability of going up than down from here. But again, nothing is guaranteed and you want to be ready for both sides regardless. So on the daily moving forward, once again, we can see the 100-day moving average is actually right above us, sitting at pretty much 170, which is even further area that, might be a little bit difficult to break through. The 100-day moving average usually has a pretty significant, it's important, I guess, is the best way to put it, right? It is something you want to be paying attention to, and it is something that can, in this case, provide some pretty decent resistance. So, maybe 170s will be the top. It's hard to say for sure. Of course, as we get there, we'll dissect it even further. But again, I do believe that there is more upside from here before we make our way down even further. In other words, something like this, something like this, something like this, whatever, right? I think it'll be something along the lines of like this, give or take, is how I personally expect it to play out. But we'll see, right? So that's kind of the main thing I am personally eyeballing as of right this very moment, that we're still getting actually rejected by the 10-day moving average, which is kind of a short-term momentum indicator in my opinion. So if we can start closing above that, that could be pretty good to really, get this move to the upside, to the 170, maybe even 180 actually kind of, solidified, if you will. So that's something else to consider as well. The VIX also had a massive rally today, which again is very important to pay attention to. Rallied pretty much all the way back up to this level once again, pretty much up to the 20 level. Once again, finding a rejection all the way up here. As you can see, it did all the way back here, all the way here. We discussed this as well several times. Even all the way when it was here, we said how this 20 level is getting, massive rejection. When it came up here, we said massive rejection. Did the same thing today, massive rejection. So we'll see how, what kind of volatility tomorrow brings, because tomorrow might be a day of volatility. And the final thing we'll discuss very quickly is SPY. We discussed how yesterday this candle on the SPY closure did look pretty bearish. This is a pretty bearish candle for the most part, and this is a pretty bearish follow-up. Now, this doesn't mean that we have to completely plummet from here, but this is a not so good follow-up. This is, I believe, an evening star doji or something like that, the pattern, right? Which is a pretty bearish pattern. That's not what you want to be seeing for sure if you're a bull on the market in general. And of course, SPY, as it is weighing down Tesla today, and if SPY is able to continue making its move all the way down even further, of course, that can imply Tesla will most likely go lower with it. So keep that in mind, guys. It's very important. Now, again, the closure, thankfully, the bulls did step in a little bit here, so it's not as bad as it could have been, but it's still definitely more bearish than bullish. Wouldn't be surprised if it's a bit of a follow-up, a rally rather, a little bit to the upside first, but I do believe that there is much higher, more a chance of more downside than more upside, slightly longer than short term. Right, so probably like maybe longer than this week, let's just say maybe into next week, something like that. So same thing with Tesla. Again, wouldn't be surprised if there's a bit more upside for Tesla very short term, but ultimately I do believe that there is substantially more downside than upside remaining moving forward a little bit even further. But that's essentially what I'm seeing, guys. So let me know what you think down below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button. It does help quite a lot. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions down below. Memberships open next week on Monday, hopefully. And yeah, hopefully that will help you guys, and hopefully you guys will find that informative and all of that good stuff. So thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.